If the thing you steal never actually leaves, if instead it waits. He didn't even notice it at first. 5 gallons of gas should last weeks when you only use a quart at a time to mow your lawn. But somehow, every few days, the red plastic can sitting on his patio felt lighter, not empty, just wrong. He told himself it was evaporation, bad memory, carelessness. Until one afternoon, he lifted it and knew someone was taking it. Back then, home security cameras weren't everywhere, so he improvised an old laptop, a cheap webcam, motion detection software that barely worked. He positioned it just right, angled toward the patio, then left the house like he normally would. 5 minutes later, the notification chimed. He opened the footage. There he was, the neighbor, walking casually into his backyard like it belonged to him. No hesitation, no nervous glance around, just calm, practiced theft. He unscrewed the gas cap, siphoned the fuel into his own container, tightened everything back up and left. The next time he left the house, the same thing happened. Minutes, like clockwork. That was the part that stung. It wasn't desperation. It wasn't what I mistake. It was confidence. He could have confronted him, called the police, started a screaming match over a fence. Anger is loud. Revenge is quiet. Instead of reacting, he started thinking. He rewatched the footage over and over. The routine, the predictability. The thief believed one thing very clearly. No one was watching. Belief would be his downfall. The plan didn't require violence. It didn't require destruction. It required patience. The next week, every time he used the gas can, he added something extra. Not enough to change the smell. Not enough to be obvious. Just enough. Gasoline floats above liquid. The scent would mask everything. To anyone who wasn't paying attention, it would seem perfectly normal. He didn't rush it. He didn't smirk. He didn't even look at the neighbor differently. He just kept filling the can and waited. Then, one morning, he made it obvious. He packed a small suitcase, checked his car fluids in plain sight, moved with exaggerated purpose, the kind of body language that says, "I won't be home for a while." He pulled out of the driveway. He didn't go far. An hour later, he circled back quietly. From a distance, he could already hear it. The violent tugging of a lawnmower starter cord. He parked where he wouldn't be seen and watched. The neighbor was red-faced, yanking again and again. Died. He cursed at the machine like it had betrayed him. That wasn't the best part. The neighbor gave up on the mower, grabbed his gas can, and poured what was left into his car. He drove off. 3 blocks later, the car stalled. Dead. Right there in the middle of the street. Confused panic. Phone out. And later that afternoon, like nothing had happened, the red gas can reappeared on the patio. Empty. He didn't touch it. Didn't move it. Didn't acknowledge it. He just smiled once and moved on. But the story doesn't end there. Because sometimes, the universe hands you something better than petty satisfaction. A few weeks later, through casual conversation and a little online digging, he discovered something interesting. The neighbor wasn't just a gas thief. He had active warrants. Kind that don't disappear. Now here's where intelligence beats symbols. Instead of reporting the theft, he filled out an online ride-along application for the local sheriff's department in the neighbor's name. The program required a background check. It required confirmation. It required official scrutiny, using information the neighbor had foolishly shared in small talk over the months. He didn't lie about crimes. He didn't fabricate evidence. He just triggered a process that was already waiting. And the system did what systems do. Background check flagged the warrants. The sheriff's department followed up. And one morning, instead of sneaking into backyards, the neighbor found flashing red and blue lights outside his own front door. No yelling across fences. No dramatic confrontation. Just quiet consequences. The thief didn't just lose a few gallons of gas. He lost control. He lost freedom. And he never knew. Not really. Carefully a cheat been outplayed. Because real revenge isn't chaos. It's precision. It's patience. It's understanding that the loudest move is rarely the smartest one. When someone believes you aren't watching, they expose everything. And sometimes, you have to do is let them steal and wait.